Share. Okay. So I tried testing this lab many times. So today I just suspect that we might run into little hiccups here and there, and some students had already started, so I kind of have a feel on where it is that we're gonna try to catch. But when I ran this, so originally I wanted to do the ISO for Security Onion. You can do that. Security Onion is actually really built for CentOS. So when we try to run it in Ubuntu, we were running into issues because they don't support the later version of Ubuntu. They kind of stop after the version 16. And then Security Onion is really used for security analysis. It's quite useful. So I want to show you how to do it properly. You can get the ISO and then unpack it and put it on a USB and make it a bootable USB. You can also, of course, make your virtual machine. So ideally for forensic, they said that if you make the bootable USB, you can also use it that way. But I want to point out a few things that you would see for Security Onion in the case that you need. Playbook, it uses YAML. I used this in the past for my network Python class. It's very useful in the case where if you want to do a lot of automation. That's wonderful. It also does a lot of different things, including providing you with log analysis and also capture live. So a lot of people use Security Onion to really identify live attacks, like in the case of MGM and other things that you would see in the news, right? So it has all of these really cool tools that's built into it. And the developer for Security Onions, they wrote it for CentOS. So that's why we should use it with CentOS. So this lab is really to teach you the proper way to make it. Okay. So you can go to CentOS website and click on the download link, and then it's 3 links later, it's going to take you to the regional, and the closest for us is going to be UCI. So what we'll start is once you log on to the computer, you would click this website and you would download the ISO from UCI server. It's going to come down to your downloads folder, or you can save it on your desktop. So I had mine saved here under the downloads folder. So just make sure that you have it. And once you have the ISO, or you can always download the ISO. So we would start with CentOS. And when you visit the website, for example, we'll see how far we get today because it's like 80 something steps, right? If you visit the website, you're going to see that they have releases for a lot of different things. So you can also run it on a Raspberry Pi, or an ARM system. So, and you can also use it so for us, we're going to do the x86-64, that's your Intel base, right? And then if you use the i386, which is older, you can also download that. But if you're using Raspberry Pi, that would be ARM right here, right? Like your Android phones, your smartphones are ARM chip. So you can find the download information on their website, and it would take you to the regional servers where they release, and you see the date, right? They haven't really updated it since 2009. So, you just need the ISO. So once you downloaded the ISO, you are going to open up VirtualBox. So I'm at step 3. And we're going to make a new virtual machine. But you have to keep in mind that Security Onion is resource heavy because it is going to run a lot of different tools. So if you go to their documentation, they would tell you the requirement for your hardware. So you are going to need, just for the virtual machine, you are going to allocate about 14 gig of RAM, because for the base is 12 gig. So if we have anything less, we're gonna run into problems down the line, right? And so that's what I put here. You're also gonna need at least, dual core higher. So quad core is recommended by them. So your system, your desktop right now has 16 core, 16 core. So you can allocate multiple core for it. Okay. So when I ran it to test several times, the first time I ran it, I only gave it the minimum requirement to see how slow it is. 200 gig virtual drive, which is about 12 gigs physical drive. I had up it, but I think ideally you can make it 650. So hold on, let me plug in my drive so I can show them the same way. So we want to be able to save our virtual machine onto our external hard drive, so that way you don't have to clone it later. If you save it onto your desktop, you can, but you will end up having to clone it later. Okay. So once you open your VirtualBox app, you are going to click New. My USB cable is bent. That's why you travel with multiple drives, right? Just in case. Let's hope I have space on this. Okay. So you plug your hard drive in, then you are going to open up your virtual box app. You're going to make new. So click new. Here is you're going to give it a name. So we're just going to call it security onion VM. And we don't want to store it on their default folder. So we're going to go ahead and click other on the next line. Cancel there if you see that prompt. Acting this also. So for you, you would need to go, I have to restart my system because the driver on this is not recognizing my USB. Okay, so I'll just make it on my desktop, but you would browse to your USB and you are going to make a folder. Okay, you can make it on your desktop, but then you have to copy it later. So we're going to make a new folder, and on this folder, we're going to call it security onion, VM, etc., whatever you want to name it, and select it. Then for the ISO, you need to mount this so that way it will boot. So for the virtual machine, you just need the ISO, but for the bootable drive, you just need to use like the etcher or the CD copy type of software to be able to unpack it. So you have the boot files. So here we're going to mount the ISO. So we're going to click other and then go to the downloads folder, or where you save your ISO. You're going to find it and click open. So at this point, I already made my folder. And then I just finished step 8. Okay. So when we do this, what we're going to do is we're going to make CentOS virtual machine. Most of the time for my classes, I use Debian because it's user-friendly. It's very common, but I want to show you how CentOS, it's a very secure Linux OS, so it's really good to learn. It's very similar to Red Hat or Arch or Fedora, actually. Okay, make sure we check this. Otherwise, it's going to plug in a password that you don't know. It shows it, but you have to look at it. Okay, so skip unattended installation checkbox. Make sure we check that before we proceed. Now, see how it plugs in Linux and it doesn't let you select here? You can change this later. It's not a big deal, right? As long as it's recognized as a Linux OS, that's fine. And then we're going to go next. This is important. So for the RAM, make sure we give it 14,000, not 1,400, 14,000. Okay. So 14 with 30. And then you're going to up the core to 4. That's the minimum requirement for Security Onion. It also needs 2 network adapter for scan and analysis for logs at the same time. So on a physical machine, if you install this on a regular machine, like a regular computer, make sure that you have the minimum requirement for hardware. So 14 gig. The base is 12, but it's going to be very slow after you add a bunch of things to it. So we are going to go ahead and proceed to next. The hard drive, we need to give it 650 gig. So on a virtual drive, that's 650, roughly, you know, the physical is 10% of that. So you're looking at about 50 to 60 gig for the physical drive, right? If your hard drive doesn't store it, you can put it on your desktop and then you can transfer it later. Or zip it and then transfer. That's how a lot, you know, how in Cali, they zip it and they put it on their server so it doesn't take up a lot of space. So that's what you can do. So 650 gig. You can go like 300, 400, and I'll talk a little bit about partition with Linux in a little bit. If you've taken a Linux class, you probably know a lot more in details in that area as well. So we're going to go next. So make sure we check all the information is correct. Otherwise, we have to troubleshoot this and it's just going to take longer. We're going to finish. So once you have all the hardware set up, then you're going to click start. And we can always close the little status for VirtualBox on the right by clicking the small blue X. So it's going to give you this, right? And make sure that you click in it and it's going to say capture. So in order to release, so once I click this, my cursor is inside the VBox, but I need to release it so I can click on the outside to look at my lab. Then I would use the right and control key or right down and control, and it tells you that here. You can click that icon or you can control and the right arrow, that's going to release it. So once I click in it, I'm going to press I for install and press enter.
Are we supposed to do the network after?
Yeah, you can do that after. You can do it before. So I'll show you. I forgot to tell you guys to do that. Step 15. So on the settings, right here is your network. The first one is NAT, right? Once we reboot, you can add the second adapter. So we're not installing Security Onion yet. So when you can always shut it down and then change it. So basically you just add another, but make sure, I forgot to put on 15, that make sure that the second one is also NAT. Okay. Yeah, so it requires at least 2 network adapter, but right now we're installing CentOS, so you can always add it in a little bit. That's what's nice about virtual machine is you can always change it. So if you create the CentOS with only like dual core and less RAM, you can up the RAM and change the core size before you start it again. The only thing that you need to change at the beginning is your virtual disk, that 650 gig or that 400 gig that you give it. You need to set that up before. Otherwise, you have to recreate it because that is where your OS is going to sit, your file system. So now click back in here and it's going to say, you know, it tells you right control. So capture, make sure that we use United States English. So whatever the language that you prefer there. And that's tied to the region. Okay. Then click date and time. We're going to select Los Angeles for our region. That's going to give us Pacific Standard. And if you can't toggle this on, that's okay, right? Because here, I think, maybe it disabled the service. When I tested it on my laptop a few times this week, it's not a problem when I use my outside network, my home network, but that's okay. You don't have to sync with the network time. You can just select the right time for your zone and then click done. So we already have English keyboard and the language that we selected. Next, it tells you well, let me see if I can even get to them. Sometimes. All right. So next, what we're going to do, so we already set the date and time and click done. So I did most of my stuff in terminal, which is the core, right? Whenever you install Linux core, basically it doesn't have desktop. Linux doesn't have desktop unless you tell it. So I found that at the end, after you use Security Onion, you need to actually access the file. So it's a lot easier for you. So I had gone back and changed this step, but we are going to go through and under software, we're going to verify and we are going to install the Genome desktop. If you don't do step 21, you have to do step 71. So if you do step 21, you can skip 71. Okay. So installation source, click here. Then we're just going to allow it to detect. Remember that the ISO, it treats it like a DVD file. So we're going to click verify. It's going to take a minute to verify to make sure that the installation file is good for the OS. That's what's nice about it is it does double check everything for you before it goes to the installation. Ubuntu is a lot quicker to create and install, and Kali also. Debian is very fast compared to Arch or CentOS. Okay. And so this is, once it's done, what we're going to do is we are going to set up our install for our Genome. So there are two types of desktop that you would see for Linux releases. Genome is the default desktop that most Linux versions come with. And then another option is to use KDE. So there are companies that make desktop for just Linux, right? So Genome desktop or GNOME desktop, right, is what you see for your general Linux releases. And then some people, they don't like that. They would use Liquid KDE. Some application, I found that, it works better with the other desktop. It's really the developer preference. So if they build it for a certain desktop, they would tell you that that's the desktop that you need to install to be able to see the graph better or to see the report better, etc. So when we're done, click done here. And then we're going to click done on top. Then in the software selection, this is where you can add all your tools, right? In the future, you want to go down this list, right? Remember how I said, for the liquid plasma, KDE is also here, but we're going to select Genome. And then if you want like OpenOffice, other application, you would add it, okay? Right now, we don't really need all of this. And for Security Onion, hence the name, right? And also CentOS, it has a lot of security tools that you can use, like firewall, etc. You can use Security Onion as an intrusion detection system. So some admin, they prefer to just run it through a Linux system like this. So this is a really good tool to use. So if you are versed in this area, a lot of companies look for your knowledge in this area. So it's always good to use open source stuff and make it really, secure. So once we select the desktop, we're going to click done. So future, maybe wanted to check these out. So we have done this part. Then we're going to do the drive. So this is where your disk drive partition, right? Right now, just to make your life easier, I had put down that you can use the automatic. but I had highlighted in yellow for you to create partitions. So Linux, based on Security Onion documentation, they recommend those partitions, and I calculated it out for you for like the 700 gig or the 600 gig that you would use. So if you use a terabyte drive, you just need to up it a little bit more. Okay, so we're gonna use the automatic configure, but if you want to manual partition, you need all of those partitions. So Linux need boot, it's gonna be like half of a gig, so 500 meg for standard Linux. It's gonna need the slash, that's called a mount. So in order for it to mount the disk, it needs a section of the disk, right? So that's a mount. Let me try to get out. Click right control. Okay, just right now. Control and down arrow would let you out, and then the other one lets you back in. So here, this is called a mount. Now for your NSM, this is where so the file systems really rely on these to be able to write. Now on Ubuntu, you probably know that it uses ext4, right? On the CentOS, it uses a little bit different, so it uses the NSM. So this is ideal. So I normally would go equivalent. This should be a little higher. So if you have a terabyte drive, if you wanted to use it all, right, you can use like 600 here, 300 here, and then your temp, and swap, that's basically, this is what Windows call virtual memory, right? It uses hard drive space as RAM size. So this is where Linux refer to that, right? So what you want is you want to partition it, but we're just going to use the automatic. So we are going to click done. And then if anything else that you want, so it says here that network and hostname not connected, right? We want to make sure that you click on it and then turn it on, and think that's why you couldn't get Yum earlier.
Wait, okay.
But it's on now. Yeah, but make sure.
No, it's still not working for me.
Yeah, so you should search in your application for network and host name or something like that, and you can toggle it on. So I have at least one adapter, and I gotta make sure that I turn on that adapter. So basically you have to turn it on, right? Even though it's installed.
So it's settings?
Yes. And then click done. So make sure that we toggle that on, and it should show your adapter here. So Kali used to use the naming like this, and they changed now to F0 and so on. So it's still, so then begin installation. Now we're gonna make two things. One is gonna be the root password, right? That's your admin account. And I had put it CIS27A exclamation point for the root. CIS27A exclamation point to confirm, and then click done.
Yeah, so my Wi-Fi adapter. Make sure that they're plugged and turned on.
Yeah, so turn on your Wi-Fi adapter on your computer, your host computer. Then for the user, we're just gonna type student lowercase because Linux is case sensitive. So user account, we just make it simple for ourselves so we don't have to type it a certain way. So it's gonna fill out the name for you, and then for the password, you see it at step 28 and 29. So CIS27A with no exclamation point. CIS27A. And then we click done. So you need to make your regular user, that's mostly for, your normal task, and then the root is when we need higher privilege. Okay, so we're good so far. This part's easy. Okay. Then it's still doing its thing, so you wait for this blue bar to get to this part, and then it's gonna reboot, and you're done with your CentOS install. Okay. All right. So we did this 28 and 29. Then when it's finished, it's going to give you finished configuration. You click it and it's going to reboot. Once reboot, you can log in as root.
Do I, on my virtual machine, I got out of the capture.
What do you mean?
You said on your computer, you fix the network.
Yeah, both of your adapter on the outside is installed. You need to fix it inside the virtual machine itself. Yeah, so
Come back.
in here, under settings, it's only telling me Wi-Fi in there. So for the applications. So the utilities.
No,
I don't want you to redo the whole thing.
Yeah,
There has to be a way. Look up. Look up on their documentation should have it. On how to change your network adapter. So search CentOS 7 change adapter. To network adapter. Yeah, it's not seeing it, so I don't know. I don't think you should have to. I think that there's an option that you need to go into the system settings to be able to do that on the OS. Okay, so let's check. We're still going, so let's wait. So while we wait, so we're gonna talk about the next few steps. So on Debian, yum is equivalent to apt-get in Debian, right? So basically you're gonna install git so you can pull security onion package down. And then you're gonna, so these steps are pretty close to what you've seen in the Ubuntu. Then after that, you are going to, but I don't think you need a sudo when you're on sroot. So you can just use bash so setup network. So I try to put down all the detailed stuff step by step. So I think some of you, when you got to lab 3, you stopped halfway through here because it didn't work right. So hopefully this is gonna work for you. I tested it 2 times, so you know. Then after that, you are going to download the malware traffic, and then you are going to unzip it. You're going to have it analyzed, and it's gonna give you the end. So this is gonna take like, I don't know, 15 minutes at most. And it's gonna give you a link. So various part, make sure we take screenshots when it tells you to, so that way you have it as reference later in case you need to go back and look at it again. Okay, and for your lab submission. So it's not too bad. So once we get through the security onion install, then, you know, I'm hopeful that we'll be able to get done by 8. So when I tested it, but it's because I'm used to doing it, so it's a little bit faster, but some of you are very fast, so you should be all right. Now 71, I'm gonna highlight this. If you already did 21 that you installed Genome, you don't have to do this part. So if you did only the core in the future, right, to install Genome Desktop, you would first download or install it. Okay, it's actually already in the package for Linux. And then you're gonna echo the session, and you have to do a start X command in order to activate it. That's how you install desktop anyways. Okay, so pretty simple.
It's telling me to do this. Edit the file.
You can see this config. Yeah, so you have to Yeah, so
Have to
make,
do it in terms
so open it, so they,
of.
file. So find that file, and then you probably have to do an, a text editor. But you downloaded Yum already. You installed that, right? We're good right now, right? We'll fix that later. Yeah. It's gonna take a little, like, maybe 4 or 5 steps. So, yeah, you just need to change the configuration file, the conf file. I know exactly what we're talking about. So. I was hoping that something was you can click, but it's not like that. So since it's 6:50, we're gonna kind of have to wait a little bit. Any question?
Just wait for you to have it.
Okay, well, you can proceed. Just go ahead. So in case you run into problem, then we can fix it. So as long as you can have access to the internet, you can still sudo, right? So that's okay. You can, if you can download Yum or you can download Git. Were you able to install Git? Okay, then it should be okay. Also, I think there's a homework assignment this week, right? I forgot that you have a homework category. I was trying to get rid of it, but you know, I put it on my syllabus. I didn't want admin to create problems. So make sure we go through. It's gonna help you with your quiz review. We have a quiz next week, right? Quiz. It's open till Sunday and you have 3 tries, so it's not a big deal. And I have a review game on, so. Okay, so I'm done. So now we're gonna go ahead and choose reboot. And it's just gonna load my OS. So now you know how to make a CentOS 7 VM through this lab. And if it says failed blog stuff, that's okay. So now. So you have to accept the license. Click done. That's this part if it pops up. And then but what I'm gonna do is before I install Security Onion, I'm gonna shut it down real quick because I have to fix my network adapter problem. So I have that one connected now. I just gotta finish the configuration and add the second
Is where I'm chiming.
one. No, you turn yours on the VBox, but you have to fix the conf file inside. So I'll help you with that down the line. Yeah. So I'm gonna power off for a second. So we're gonna add the second adapter. So we're gonna choose adapter 2, enable, and make sure that it is NAT. For network address translation, for both, okay? And we're gonna click OK. So it has 2 adapter. Yours have that. It's just when you install OS, you have to toggle that thing on. And so it wrote the configuration file with that. So we'll fix that. Okay, then I reboot again. So right now we just finished CentOS install on virtual machine. We are going to first for do step 33 once we're logged in. That's why I like having the core only, like the desktop is a lot. It takes a lot to load. All right. Just terminal only is great. All right, so we're gonna click not listed. And then if you want, you can log in as root. And then go next. And then the password is CIS27A exclamation. Okay. So if this pop up, make sure it's English, go next. Right? US selected, go next. And then for location services, this is for privacy. You can turn it off or on, doesn't matter. So I'll just leave it the same. Go next and then click skip. And then we're going to click start using CentOS. So if this pops up, right, this is kind of showing you how to use shortcut on your keyboard and different things. We can click close. So go to applications under system tools, you will find your terminal. The old one, it used to be activities, but now it's, yeah, so terminal here. And so you should see your account as that. So let me see if I can zoom in. Okay. So we're gonna run the next command.
You didn't click it.
Huh?
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. So if it has to be twice or something. All right, so I want to make sure that I put it where I can see. Okay, so we're gonna do sudo yum yes, so that way you don't have to press yes or no, right? Install git. It's just like what we said, very similar to Debian. Now I don't really need sudo because I'm on as root, but if you're on a student account, you need to do the sudo. And this should go. Then after that, we're gonna pull the repo for Security Onion from Git. Any questions? And you can change how your terminal looks also, just like. Why are all my processes are sleeping? It's taking a long time. Another app is currently holding yum lock, so. Any questions? Need any help? Yeah, you want to use Restart. Yeah, mine happened too. That's why I can't get, my USB connected. You wanna use the Washington, one of those black and green, that's speed. If you guys are using the Chinese brand one, it doesn't open. So basically you make your version of the folder.
Do I check this, the system config?
I'm sorry?
I said, do I type in the system config? Command?
Okay, so you have to CD into this directory, so it's basically saying that this file is under these folders. And you need to go in and edit your Ethernet. I think earlier we saw that it is like, you can pull your IP address again, it's gonna say ENTOS, whatever, please. That's the name, that's the number. Okay, so, backspace that, just put CD, backspace that. No backspace, like clear that, all the way up to scripts. And then move your cursor now, use the left arrow key and move that to the front. And type in CD. Center. Okay, so now you're under that folder, type LS. That's enter. Okay. Yeah, so you need to find the IF config file. So. Yeah, right here. So you need to change, so what they're saying is you need to change this number. So. That's it. IF config in number. Edit the below word. On the option to yes. Okay, so you are going to do a cat. This file, space, and then that file. Have you taken Linux classes or yes? Yeah, you should put that file. ENP0S2. Okay, so here is, so that's what they're saying is you're in that now. You have to, so it's saying it's Ethernet, and then you need to find on boot. See how it says no? You have to edit this to make it a yes. So type in, I don't think it has nano, but you can type, so up arrow, and then change cat to nano. And if it doesn't have nano, you have to install nano. Another way, I think you can also do echo. So you have to change it in text editor. You see what I mean? Okay, so, log out, type log out. So when it's on this, not listed, and you'll type root, you the password, okay? And then you should be good. Okay? Okay? All right, cool. You got security, I didn't even go unless you. Where? I almost abandoned this lab at like 4 a.m. this morning. I'm like, I don't think I want to do this because what if it doesn't download for them? All right. Well, okay. So, huh? What's the nano? Okay, so now, what you're gonna do is backspace. Type that to yes. And then Control S. Wait. Pull it up so I can see it. You have to get out of it. No, like I need to see the bottom of your. So it tells you right here, Control X to exit. So Control X, and then Y, save. And then enter. Enter. There you go. Restart. Then the restart. Reboot or something like that. I don't remember. Oh, hey, Red Hat Day still stuck with me for a while. Like I learned on core, so I remember a lot of the things. So let's hope it works. Okay. So that's how you edit configuration file. Now you learned something new today, right? IF config file. So not able to put 68A on schedule because the Foundation for Data Science is go this semester and it's a prereq for it. The big data.
Yeah.
But I put on like the 30C some of the classes.
Wait for me.
Try it. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, they, and then we'll see if RCC and Narcos able to do it soon, because if they ran the beginning data science classes, they'll be able to run the other ones. So just look out for their schedule.
Right.
Unfortunately, yeah, we were not able to run it this semester but anyway, so you'll be able to check that out.
27 is still available.
Yeah, well, I put my name on it, and the scheduling system they have is all messed up. It took me 5 hours to edit the same thing. So I went from like 11 till 3 a.m. in the morning. I was so angry that like I keep changing the same class and it didn't save and it didn't save. And I clicked save and it went back to so I wrote their CRM, people a really long email about how I felt about their system. And then I also wrote the people here about that, but like it took 5 hours just to edit. But yeah, I put that on. It also depends on, the new faculty if they want to teach that class or not, but it's going to be hybrid like this.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Same error.
Oh, really? Just remake it real quick. You already know how. It takes like 15 minutes. But make another folder and so I can help you fix that in a little bit. I think you have to edit other configuration file with it, but okay. So after we have this done, we're going to do a git clone. HTTPS github.com security. It's case sensitive, so make sure that we type it correctly. Security onion. So it's gonna clone the repo and put it on there.
But I have to clean that file though.
Just name it something different, like sec onion.
Two.
Just make a second one. Can't see my bottom, so. Okay, so once we have that downloaded from Git, we are gonna do cd security onion. And you're in the inside the directory, and you can always use ls to list. So I just finished step 35. There we go, just once. Okay, then next we are going to go ahead and do a bash for the SO setup. So SO stands for security onion, and once you have it installed and access this directory, you're able to use its command from the directory, so the SO. And you can find all of their packages, I'm sorry, their modules, because it's written in Python. You can find it all under that directory. So if you do the ls, you can find it. So I'm gonna scroll this up a little bit, and we're gonna do a sudo bash so setup network. So here, the welcome screen, we're just gonna press enter for yes. Eval, make sure it's selected. And then you can hit tab to go directly to OK, and then press enter. So eval is good for learning, and then they have production and other type of system that you different version that you can use. So I had selected this, and now we're gonna have to type agree. And then hit tab, and then select OK, and then press that. And it says the free space on the mount point is currently this. So remember, we talked about partition earlier, right? It needs to be this. So it's saying that it's not meeting the requirement. So ideally, that's why you have to have that partition at the beginning. But, you know, I just want to show you how you can use the automatic one. But yeah, so ideally, you should follow that yellow section. So press enter. And then enter the host name, not the FQDN. So if it doesn't like this, you can add like, you know. So it says prevent hostname conflict by default security onion. We're just gonna change this. So I'm just gonna put VM next to it. So that way we kind of distinguish the difference. Or you can put in like something else. That's okay. And then we're gonna continue anyways, but read the message. It has upper, so let me go back and fix that and put it lowercase. It doesn't like that, so. And then hit tab, okay. And it says, since this is a network install, we assume management interface, DNS hostname, etc. We're just gonna say yes. And then it says that DHCP can cause a problem with the IP address changes. Do you want to use DHCP? That's fine. We're going to click OK. So here, if you press space bar, you're able to select the adapter that you want to use. So both of mine are up. So I'm going to go ahead and select the first one. I click it too many times. There we go. So it tells you to select the network adapter. And then so we already selected this. And then hit tab. It's okay. And then we're just gonna do the direct. I know some of you have passed to this point on Ubuntu, right? But it was a lot slower because it just didn't have a lot of juice. And then on this second one, we need to set up the monitoring interface. Remember that it needs 2 NICs, so you're just gonna hit the space bar to select it, hit tab to press OK, but make sure that all of them are up. Both of them are up. If you set it on NAT, they should be up. And then we're just gonna do an automatic tab. Okay. So for the IP address, we're gonna keep it the same so it's able to use the 10, which is class A, class C, and class B. Okay, so this part is cool. You can normally it's default by all selection. So Grafana, Wazoo, Playbook, all of these have Python capability with scripting. So if you add this, you can also use I have a lab in my CIS30C that uses Security Onion with Python. So they run the script in Python for this. But you would be able to use all of these features in Security Onion, you know, as commands and also application, but also you can add a Python script with it. So hit tab for OK. We're gonna just get all of them. And then for the Docker IP range, let me get out of this so I can get back to this step.
Goes right here on network and host name, do you turn it on?
Yeah. You have to turn that on.
Do I hit apply or do I just hit that?
This is just the host name, but make sure that it's toggle on it. So it's gonna use the local host with the domain name. Are we okay?
It's faster than you know.
Yeah, so the second time around, it's gonna be quick. See ya.
Tomorrow, probably.
Okay, tomorrow's Thursday? Send me, yeah, check with me, send me an email before you come. Yeah, if I don't have to go observe someone, I'll be able to come, okay? Okay, so we already did this. We selected the second NIC. We have it on automatic. Right, we're gonna use the existing IP address and then we're gonna proceed. So for the Docker IP range, we're just gonna enter and continue. And then we're gonna have to create an account. Now, on the interface for Security Onion, you can open it up as an application and you just have to log in using your account. So once you create an account for it, you'll be able to access it through the application. And it's gonna make your system look like a server. So it's gonna run it through the browser. So we're gonna use the default IP and then the email address. So I'm just gonna go. Yeah, just use the one that you normally use for signing up for things. And then the password. It doesn't like the same password, so. I just add another exclamation point. Oh, it doesn't match. Yes.
You're in security.
Huh?
That's security.
Yeah, well, that's the setup.
Oh.
Okay, so we'll just use the IP address. You can also set it up with the computer name or the host name. And then we just use IP. So it tells you here, do you want to run so allow? So it has its own kind of like filtering system. So allow is a command that allows you to control what you don't allow and what you allow, right? So it's like a firewall that's integrated. It's different than the regular firewall on CentOS. So you can also allow other machines to access this particular, so you can make it like a server environment kind of. So we just gonna choose yes. And then here, I think I had put 10.0.0.50. You can give it an IP address of the or the range and the CIDR. Let's go and put /4. So we'll just say that range for the IP. And then it would say that it's gonna go from this IP, and then the subnet is this, so you can specify the information that you want. And it's gonna install.
Mine says even once you can password.
Yes, just add another exclamation point. Or make a secure password, right? I just try to make it easy for you to remember.
The IP was 10.0.0.50 with the /45.
24, cited 24, that's a. Yeah. You should be done before 8, I'm pretty sure. It might seem a lot, but it's not. So the analysis part's gonna take like 10 minutes. This part might be a little bit of time too. So. Let me try. I put it so low that I can't drag it. Let me stop the services. Right. You can use 150. I give you the IP here. You can use 50, 150. So arbitrary. So this IP address, right? I put here is this is the system that you allow to connect to those security onion. So whatever the system that you want to administer that system is, you put in the IP. And so allow would allow, so we can put a group of system on there, right? Like let's say that all your IT or your security people, they're in a certain subnet, then you can put that subnet under so allow, so that way they can access it. Okay. And then, so once you set it up, and you can also go and change it. So I said here that it's approximately 30 minutes, but it also depends on how much juice you give it, right? The resources that you have on it. So when we get to this part, once it's done, it's gonna show you security onion eval, screenshot that, so I know that you successfully accomplished that. And then we're gonna now do the malware analysis, which is fast. Okay. Hurry up and wait, right? That's okay. So I think for the next lab, we're probably gonna use bulk extractor and a couple other tools in Windows, and then we're gonna come back to Linux. And we're going to use Sloth, right? So we're gonna use the kit to be able to do some analysis. And at that time, we will use Kali to make it easy. So Kali, you can also turn it on forensic mode. So if you put Kali into a USB, right? If you read their documentation, they show you how. So you download the ISO and then you use Etcher software to unpack it and copy that file into a USB, so you can plug that USB into any system and reboot it and it will run Kali. But when it boots, you would select forensic mode and it's gonna load all the forensic tool for you. That's what's nice about Kali is now they enable that, so you can just put it on a USB and perform forensic that way. On this one, I think that you can also do some of the mode where you can run some of the feature also through the USB. So a lot of like the Linux releases that's used for security, you can also make it a bootable USB as well. Okay. Okay, so just a little bit more to go. And then, but this PCAP file is fairly small, so we'll be able to. So when you really want to investigate attack, you would do the same thing. Capture your traffic on Wireshark, save it as a PCAP file, import it into, open it in Network Miner, or you can use Security Onion, and you can analyze it. The cool part about Security Onion is it use Elasticsearch, so it pulls all the log information and it categorizes stuff for you, and so it's really nice. Any questions? See, not too much of a problem. I was just concerned, so we'll see. Can't say until it's over. So they have certification also if you like this stuff. So in threat intelligence, now you're going to see a lot of security job that talks about threat intelligence and threat hunting. This is one of the area that a lot of the jobs require, is that you know how to go through the process for, understanding to use security tool to be able to find threats. And that's part of your risk assessment, along with if you are an analyst. So they do have the SOC-P exam for Security Onion too, so you can use this to practice. And they also have training and tutorials and things like that that you can use. So you can watch the video. And then they have some new release that's coming.
Are you gonna post the video?
Yeah. If the best thing for me is, for any of the open source, you should always use their documentation to fix things, to find things. So when you work with logs, with Security Onion, it shows you, like I've used FileBeat before, Logstash. I covered this in my security Python class. A lot of these things are very useful for the industry. So it's always good to, and then you can find anybody anywhere in the world using GeoIP, right? That's a lovely module. I love it. So there are a lot of really cool tools that's enclosed here, and you can find out how to use it. And you can also set alert, how to parse things into Elasticsearch, and so on. Okay. And then so while we wait,
I think Pro.
oh, it's gonna take a while. Yeah, so create an account. Yeah, so student CIS27A. Let's see what else. So check out their documentation.
Can I make the user admin?
Yeah, if you want. See, you're almost caught up to where you were before.
Not even-
Just
Oh,
a little bit
where I got
more.
stuck,
Yeah.
Where you're at. Oh, wow, that's all I needed.
Oh, I have my caps on.
It's like one, how big it's like, how many-
Let me pause record. Okay, so if you are working on, if you're waiting, you can also get the traffic malware traffic PCAP file, if it throws an error for certificate, you need to add the highlighted in green -- no check certificate. That's gonna allow the website to release the file. And then after that, you can install Make Cache, which allows you so it creates temporary storage for the application, and then we can do the unzip, because when you unzip, it usually create like a folder of the unzip file. So you can do that, and then you can unzip. So I did that. I had the Make Cache option. Okay, so I did this, and now I'm just gonna install the unzip. So sudo yum yes install unzip.
Mine's available. Try another mirror.
Yeah, so sometime if it's not able to connect from one website, it'll just go to another one.
Did I still try to unzip it?
Did it download?
Oh. I'm still waiting for that to download. Yeah, but I did still see the dash no check certificate. Yeah, so certificate expired. So let's go down. Oh my god. And this is connected to that. Yeah, it's downloaded. Like, whatever that shows that. I don't know. Yeah, the Make Cache. But I did pretty well. Yeah, so it's not. It's gonna set to. Yeah, some of the stuff is from the Make Cache one again. Finishing the rest.
And then install the unzip. And then after that, you can unzip your file. Yeah, if it's failed because of certificate expired, you need to add the no -- no check certificate.
Okay.
And then, yeah, it's gonna say certificate expired.
I guess we're trying to do it all.
Well, we have to wait for Security Onion to do the bash command, but other than that, you can unzip and then after that, we have to wait for SO to finish.
I'm still saying fail. Trying other mirrors.
Yeah, she's doing, which one is failing?
I'm doing this.
You can see if you can just install the unzip without it. Yeah, it's still going. It's still going. So basically, it's just not able to pull all the websites for Make Cache, like all the application.
So I tried to unzip it.
Yeah, so she's having the same issue. So just if it's not able to do the Make Cache, so Make Cache, all that is it's making room for potential unzip folder, so temporary space. So it does a preparation for all your application, but you can just just install unzip and then unzip it without it. Yeah, so do the next line. So if you guys are getting the Make Cache error, you don't have to do the Make Cache. Okay, you can still install unzip without it. Yeah, so install unzip and then unzip the file. Fine. 11:24 traffic analysis. Exercise. PCAP. Zip. And then the password is infected. Just type, it's not gonna change your cursor. And then it's gonna inflate it. And now we have to wait for SO to finish. So we have our file ready. And then we just need to like run it into SO. And then that's it. Right? So now you understand the process of using it. Yeah.
To the LS, and I see three of them, one of them's in red. I don't know if it's the helper or-
Yeah, so that's the original one. We had downloaded another one. So yeah, that one is corrupted. So this one is good. So you're gonna do a dot snip. So you're gonna, when you unzip, it's just got dot one. So that's the complete file. This one is already extracted. So yeah, you already have yeah, because it's already inflated now. Yeah, in Linux, it will say inflating. That means it's already extracted. Yeah, in this one, because it's zipped in Windows, like if it's a .zip, you have to use unzip. But if it's like a tar-z, then that's another form of compression. Then you would use the tar.
Now, put in LS.
Yeah, so you can type ls to check your file. Right, so I have a zip file and an extracted file. And then the rest. The Anaconda here is the installer for your security onion. That's the configuration file for it. Initial, all the CFG, that's your configuration file. And then your log. Okay. So almost there, 95%. We can celebrate after we finish. Well, we'll do the next command. So import PCAP. 2000, we extracted it before, so 2015, 11/24. Oops. Yeah. Traffic. I will upload the new file on our thing. Okay, so you notice that it shows you that Suricata is one of the tools that's used for analyzing traffic. And so you can use Suricata on its own. And then Zeek also is for analysis for network traffic. And that comes when you did the installation. Remember all the options that you selected. So at this point, you see the URL in a bunch of letters right there, HTTP, and then the address, the 10.0, right? You see that when you put your cursor or your mouse cursor and click on it, you should be able to open it. And right now I'm having an issue with my mouse because my USB driver on this is boo-boo. Sorry. So let me see if I can re-input my thing because yeah, so if you put your mouse cursor like this, You can click on it. So I ran the 72 and then you can take a screenshot of that.
Of that.
Yeah, of the output, it's gonna tell you what was scanned, right? And then how long it took. It shouldn't take that long once Security Onion went. So I'm not able to, let me see if I can. Yeah, it's supposed to let you click this and open it, but
Control. Loading.
yeah, it's just loading, but we'll see. Yeah, it's open Firefox. So it's gonna open up on the page, which. And then we're just gonna go accept the risk. Because it tells you here that potential security threat from will not continue, right? And then we can click on advance. This is just like the AV warning. Accept the risk and continue, and you will see the output. So this is where your login that you created earlier, right?
Oh.
And then if you want to save it, then you can save it. So now it's gonna, oh, why is it failing? I forgot I used double exclamation point because it didn't let me use the single one. So here it gives you the interface for Security Onion. You can customize the space, blah, 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 right? It shows you how you can start Security Onion or restart it. Didn't load that in here. So 1 second, let me go back. Access web interface. You can also just use your IP address. And that would allow you, so control and click that will bring you, once you authenticate, it will take you here. Let's see if I can. So once it's done, once you do the SO, it's gonna tell you the URL. I just want a screenshot of that. Because once you click the URL, you should be able to access this with the login, with your account that you created earlier, right? So it has like dashboard options, so you can check out the dashboard. So there are two ways. You can click the link and go to it, but you have to enable the privacy notice, the or the threat block that it does on the browser itself. Yeah. It should give you the dashboard though. Let me see. Yeah, and then you can make query of the logs and the metrics, then you can add to it. So, and this allows you to do like all of these things, keys, data sets, and etc. Okay. And then once you, if you go back to this part, if you press enter, it's just gonna reboot. So it's gonna restart the system. And then you will have to use SSH to reconnect. That's what it says. So if you don't want to connect directly from that, after that, then we would need to reboot. But the URL that it gives you is the link. You can also access the Security Onion by just your IP address. Okay. Let me see if we can pull data though. It should. It says Africa time zone. You can change that. So it tells you the total found in data set is here, right? So we can dive down a little bit and look at specific filter information so you can tell it what you're looking for. Let me see. If you select this and then choose grid, right, it's gonna give you some information about your evaluation and then the PCAP file that you ran earlier. So use grid option from the left with the exclamation point, right? The report that the status is false. So it's still trying to update it. So this is the PCAP that we're trying to analyze earlier, right? When we ran the SL command. Now, ideally, you don't want this to be fault. We're coming down to 8 already, so I just want to show you real quick. But we want this to have some kind of result here. When you click on it, it should show you all the information. And as you look, it's still working on it. So, okay. So give it time. Like in this case, we gotta let it go a little bit, and then that's gonna change to green from red. And then you can click on it and you can get the actual malware information. So what did we learn from this? Quite a bit, right? Security Onion can be used for investigating incident or live incident or even past incident. It also can investigate malware along with any kind of threat. Can be used for security protection and also prevention for attack, like intrusion detection and intrusion prevention. And how can you apply this in forensic? You can use Security Onion to analyze network traffic or even, and that's best for that actually. Or even, you know, incidents that had occurred, right? System state, etc. And that wraps up your lab for today. Let me stop recording so because we